Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 8 of Lee County Unscripted, and today our guest is Ducky. No, actually, it's just Mike and I this time, but we do have big news. We have moved locations. As you can tell, we are in a different setting, and we are now in downtown Fort Myers. We were kind of like, I would say, mid-Fort Myers off 41 before, and now we are in downtown Fort Myers in a historic home in downtown Fort Myers, which is absolutely beautiful, as you can see. Those are the bricks, 100 years old now. So that was a fun little remodel and discovering the bricks behind us.
Yeah, it was a hidden gem that we didn't know existed for both sides. But yeah, it's a good move. So we're back up and running, and we're hitting the ground running. So we figured this would be a good time to just talk a little bit about real estate, because there's been a lot of things going on.
There has been a lot, and I don't think we've done a real estate episode in quite a few months. I think in the beginning we probably started off with one, and then we've had amazing guests. Our next guest is a lot of good information, but our market is, everyone's running a little scared right now. I don't know who said this, but it was, don't follow the herd of sheep. When everyone's running away, that's when you want to be buying. And that's right now is when you want to be buying. There's so many incentives out there.
I was laughing as you were saying that, because every realtor always says, well, now's the best time to buy, right? Like now's the best time. It's like it's taught in school
your
class.
63 hours that you
63
get.
hours that are not enough. And that's a whole different topic. But why? Why is it a good time to buy? Because there's a lot of skeptics out there that are listening to the national media, and they're talking about how, the housing market is about to fall off of the cliff.
What data do they have that says that the housing market's going to fall off the cliff?
Right.
We're not in 2008.
We're not.
Our interest rates are not that bad if you look at them historically. We just got super spoiled for a couple of years with this 2 and 3%, and everybody is hanging on to those interest rates like they're gold, which they're great, but you have so much equity in your home. Leverage that equity. Don't just sit on it. Use it.
But you're about to be at a crossroads, right? Because this is year 3 of a depreciating market for our local market, right? This is the 3rd year.
Not talking national, because national is much different.
We don't care about, we do care, but we don't care about national.
Because if you're buying here in Florida, you don't care what's happening in Michigan or Wisconsin. Maybe if you're selling in Michigan, it's a great time to be selling up there.
The map that you sent out today to me, like all of the northeast is exploding for real estate. It's an amazing time to sell.
And we know agents up there that are over 101% list to sale ratio.
Right.
Inventory is like less than a month or maybe a month on the market.
Right.
But
one person we talked to the other day, they had 12 offers in like the first week. And I'm like,
that was us in 2022.
It was. And like, that's not our market. So when we don't care about what's happening in those other states because it has no bearing on us here. Right. So we're in a 3rd year of a depreciating market. It's the first time that's happened since 2008, 2009, 2010.
And you know more of the stats and numbers, but isn't it 1.5 times the last depreciation?
That's a general number, is like 1.5 to 2 times the last cycle is what the next cycle is going to be. It comes out to about 12 years. So the last cycle, after 3 years, like it had a 3-year depreciation, then it was kind of flat, and then we had essentially a 10-year appreciation. So from 2012 all the way up to 2022.
Which is when Mike and I first got in the market, was 2011 and 2012. We first got into the business, I wouldn't say the market, but into the business. So we saw that bottom and we saw that depression and we came up from there learning about selling $50,000 homes and what that looks like for your income and how much harder you have to work. But you have to work just as hard now, I think, as we did, because of twofold, because you have to know the interest rates and you have to know insurance. You have to know your real estate market. Back then, interest rates weren't an issue. Really, insurance was not that big of a deal. I remember when I bought my first house, my insurance was $750 a year. A year.
And now you're dealing with the 50% rule, flood insurance, whether houses had the insurance claim filed, the whole NAR lawsuit, everything post the NAR lawsuit. We're dealing with a whole different beast. So it's not even fair to compare that market to this market.
No, it's not. And speaking about the FEMA 50-50 rule, it's not national. There's not a national set guideline for it. it's municipality set. Like Cape Coral is different than Fort Myers, than Fort Myers Beach, because Fort Myers Beach is a barrier island, Sanibel, Captiva. All those are barrier islands. So they're different in every aspect. It used to be you know a little bit about everything. Now you have to know a lot about everything.
A quick overview of like our markets, right? People are like, this is the highest amount of inventory we've ever had. No, it's not. The first week of April, we ran the numbers. We always wait to the end of the month, like to the first week of the following month, right?
After day 5. So if you're checking for April numbers, you're going to look May 5 and after.
Yeah. So we haven't done May's numbers yet, but we did April like we normally do. And when we pulled them, there was 3,600 homes that were active in Cape Coral, 23 and change in Fort Myers. Today, as of this morning, there was 3,200 homes in Cape Coral and still 2,300 homes in Fort Myers. There was 700 homes pending in Cape Coral. People are buying.
Yeah, they are buying. And we used to have a season years ago. Our season was January through March. We're at the end of May, and we have more buyers now than we did in January, February.
Right. People are going to relocate. Were there a ton that moved away? Yes. But just as many that moved away came back or came, like new ones replaced. Right.
Yeah, it was more than what left.
Like I looked at the stat recently of Cape Coral. They're at 230,000 full-time residents.
What's that going to be in 3 years? I mean, their expansion plan to go up into the Yucatan, that's huge. You're taking land that we all thought was never buildable.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It's buildable.
Right.
Again, getting the infrastructure in there, getting the water, city water and sewer. Well, okay, this goes really well into well depth.
It was a good segue, and it wasn't intended that way.
Let's talk about well depth and what's going on in the northeast, northwest Cape Coral area. Residents that had homes built in, the 80s, even the early 2000s, are having wells that dry up. We have property management. We've had people call us and say, hey, my well dried up. What's going on?
We've done 4. In the past 2 months.
Yeah. Now the city of Cape Coral has done a really good job of creating this website kind of portal for you to go and look at your well depths, or if you're buying a home, and maybe your realtor may not know this because not everybody looks at their emails. And again, I'm saying this because there's so much data that comes at us that we as a brokerage try to do what's best for our agents and fill them in on the information. Mike is on the board of realtors in many facets. I am in the leadership program. So we're getting inside knowledge from the board that's telling us, hey, be on the lookout for this or watch out. And we relay that to our agents immediately so they're better informed and can go out and serve their public even better. If you just Google City of Cape Coral well depths, it'll bring you to their website. Right. Then you enter in the address and it's going to show you the paperwork for when the well was dug. And it's going to give you the well depth, the casing depth, and the total depth. So the total depth is how deep it is. The casing is where your well housing would stop, and your well is where the well pump is sitting right now. Some people are able to lower their well pumps even lower. Some have to re-drill an entire well, which is extremely costly. What did they say the cost was for that?
It's about $2,000 right now, roughly, to be able to, I take that back. If you burn out your pump and the casing stays intact and you don't bust out the casing, you can drop a new pump, go further down inside the casing.
But if you have to do a whole new well, did they say 12,000?
Yeah, it was high. It was very costly.
And then fast forward, you say, okay, $12,000 we're saying 12,000 because I don't know the exact amount. So 12,000 to redig your well. And in 5 years, you're getting city water and sewer that's coming in. That is right now estimated cost of 34,000 for a standard Cape Coral lot. So there's a lot of expenses that can fall into your lap if your realtor is not educated about what is going on in particular areas. And that's why it's really important to have somebody who specializes in that area. Yes, can we go and sell in Tampa? Sure, absolutely. We could sell a house to you anywhere in Florida. But are we doing you a disservice? Absolutely. I don't know anything about it.
Right. And that's like a homeowner trying to take on, selling their own home in Cape Coral or buy a home. Like, could you do it? Sure. Can you chat GPT it? Sure. Can you go on YouTube and all that stuff? Yes. Are you going to get the same knowledge that you're getting from someone that is a true professional? No, you're not. And there's little nuances that can't be replaced by hands-on knowledge. And that's one thing that we do pride ourselves on.
The knowledge, and we take the emotion out, and it's a business transaction for us.
Transaction.
Because for them, it is emotion, and they see the house and they start visualizing themselves moving into it and living in it and having their kids' birthday parties there and Christmas and this and that, where they're going to put their Christmas tree. And they forget about all the other items that they need to look at. Why is it a good buy? Why is it not a good buy? And we know what's coming in the future of the city. So if you're going to buy a house that abuts up to a area that was rezoned commercial.
Right.
Let's talk about the houses that are not able to have financing on them around those commercial areas because they've been future use is now going to be commercial.
Right.
So now they can't even sell their home. So what if you bought a home, 5 years ago and they changed the zoning without the future zoning, not the current zoning, the future zoning. And now you're like, I can't even sell this for pennies on the dollar.
Right. You're stuck.
Your land value, you're stuck.
A lot of people are looking at the days on the market. And has it increased? Yeah, it has. It was inevitable. Like we were at an all-time low of inventory. We went to a modest number, like we're a little over 8 months of inventory, 8.5 months of inventory for Cape Coral. So the days on the market did increase. Okay.
Just set that expectation early on. Say, we're no longer at 30 days on the market.
Yeah.
We're at over 100.
Over 100. So is that a bad thing that you're at 100? No, it's not a bad thing. The issue that we talk about all the time is realtors or the agents that don't have the knowledge of what the market is doing, and they let the sellers dictate the listing price. We see all the time the number of price decreases and then what it actually ended up selling at. If you're listing a house today, you don't have the ability to list it high with the hopes of getting an offer to be able to negotiate down to where you want to be. Today's market is changing daily. And if you're not staying in front of it, you're chasing it. And if you're chasing it, you're losing money. That's the reality.
I wouldn't say we're guilty, but we have to do price reductions as well. But we list our homes at a list or slightly below value. So whatever the last house sold for in your neighborhood, that's where we want to list it at, if not slightly below it, because that house has closed out 2 weeks ago and the market has come down
already
slightly.
Shifted, yep.
So even if you list it, and my girlfriends and I that are in real estate, we just had this conversation this morning. What are we doing with houses that the owners want to overprice? We know what the market is, and we list it at the correct price, and we're still having to come down off those. And it's almost got to be written into your contract to properly do our job is to have automatic price reductions in there, because you don't have to have that conversation 3 times in your transaction. It's, hey, this is what's going on. This is where we project it to be. If it's taken 100 days, then we're probably going to see a couple price decreases come in here.
And that's assuming that like everything else that you have in place, like your marketing plan and your strategy and like all the showings, everything is pulling the right metrics. Ask yourself, what would you pay for your own house if you were in the market today? We're going to be listing our house here soon.
Yep.
We're going to list it $25,000 under what the actual market dictates. There's another one in our neighborhood that's listed for $800,000. He's going to be really mad when we list it for $700,000. But we are realistic. That $800,000 one is not.
Maybe a year and a half ago. Price.
For sure. Is it a good time to buy? Yeah. It is. And again, I chuckle at that, but it is a good time to buy. But it is
because what we're seeing in our data is we're seeing that so we're in 2025. 2026, we're seeing that you're going to have a 1 to 2% increase. I'm saying more on the 1%, if not leveling off.
It's a flat line. We'll call it a flat line. Yeah.
2027, you're going to see an increase.
Yep.
But right now, we're still in 2025, and we're still seeing a decrease for the rest of the year. We're only 6 months in, and we're going to continue to see it go down for the rest of the year. And inventory is going to start coming back up again because we're kind of coming to, September, October, when people want to put their houses on the market after the kids are in school, and they're going to want to put their house on the market rather than, changing throughout the middle of the year. Why we are saying this is because we have the data. Mike was just at a conference in Texas, brought back a bunch of data. We have desktop appraisals that are telling us this is what your market's looking at, even down to the zip code that's saying, okay, this zip code's going to decrease next year, but this zip code's going to go up, So we have the data to say that it's a great time to be buying, because when everybody starts to buy in 2 years, you're going to wish you bought. You
don't get the opportunity to buy it at the bottom in some areas, i.e. like Babcock Ranch, right? Or these big communities where they've done price reduction, and they're slashing their prices. Plus incentives, plus the controlling the interest rate, right? They're able to do that because they're a mega company. Mega builder. But you're not going to get that same thing 2 years from now. No. You're going to be like, damn, I wish we had bought 2 years ago.
Let's talk 6 months from now.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to be the same price in 6 months.
That we're going down for the next 6 months, you don't mean we're going down 10% in 6 months. Oh, gosh, no. It's going to be a small blip down. It's not going to be anything. Don't mistake in what she's telling you as this is the sky is falling.
No.
Because it's not falling.
We're at the end of our fall.
Yeah, this is a normal cycle in a real estate market. That's what this is. Nothing more, nothing less. But some people are panicking because they've never had to deal with a depreciating market.
And they're listening to the national media. You know, what are we, 7 million houses?
7 million house deficit throughout the country.
Yeah, so that needs to be made up somehow. You know, there's more people that want to buy houses than houses are out there. So it's not our area technically that's seeing this, but it is because we're seeing, you know, not just Babcock Ranch. Babcock Ranch is its own beast, and we have a lot to talk about with them.
That's a future.
That is an awesome concept,
It
and
is.
I'm excited about Babcock Ranch. But even the other communities that the Lennar, Pulte, D.R. Horton are building, they're given the same exact incentives. They're building these houses. If you build it, they will come. Literally, it's happening.
Field the dreams.
But even apartment complexes. How many apartment complexes are going up and they are filling up with people? And you're saying, well, where are they coming from? They're coming from Miami. They're coming from the East Coast because it's unaffordable and unattainable over there. And I think we've probably talked about this in past podcasts, but our biggest demographic coming over is Miami and the Midwest right now.
Yep.
Those are the two areas. And we're going to get, you know, more information from the Lee County Tourist Board about that. And maybe have her on our podcast. Yeah, I was just going to say, maybe have her on our podcast because she can give us some really good data. And it's exciting to see change and hope, and even Fort Myers Beach, how much that's going to be developing. We haven't even touched upon that, and like the residence side of people that are going to start moving there. What that's going to look like.
This September will be 3 years since Ian.
Oh God, that's quick.
3 years, and how much our county has transformed, or our region. Let's just go with the region because it wasn't just localized to Fort Myers. Pretty much all of it, but to our region, it's night and day compared to what it was to what we're at right now. And that's okay. And that's growth. And we will, as long as you're growing, you're surviving.
Good. Yeah. Growth brings change, and we've had a lot of change in our real estate market since the 2024 lawsuit, and there's going to be more changes in NAR coming up.
Yep. You know, like you said, I just came back from a conference in Texas, and NAR was there.
NAR is National Association of Realtors.
One of the things that they were talking about is taking more time to continue to hear the realtors throughout the country before they make any more determinations. And this is going to be my own personal opinion here. I do not think we will ever see them take a hard stance or a hard policy of this is what it's going to be across the country, because that's when you get into the collusion and that's where the lawsuit came from.
Yeah, that's how it all started, was
right? Because
collusion.
Yeah, and so we will never see them take a hard stance again. It's concerning to see different parts of the country where they're stepping away from NAR and they're going to their regional. And okay, you know, like it's almost like I said it the other day, local politics have more influence on our day-to-day lives than national politics or state politics, right? So if I look at it in that concept, NAR is the federal, the state level is the Florida Board of Realtors, and then we have our local level, which is your local boards. The local boards have so much more influence on our day-to-day lives. I'm not saying this because I'm part of that board, but we have transformed where we're at to where we're going, and there's going to be some really good changes that people are going to be able to experience.
But the people that are complaining about what's going on at our board are not involved in our board.
Correct.
They're on the outside looking in, and there's numerous people I see out there on social media bashing our board, NAR, and they have their opinions, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But join the board.
Yeah.
Go to the
or don't just bring us your thoughts and let us give you the correct answer or the correct education behind what's going on.
But also educate yourself. Go to the conference, the Florida Realtor Conference, and educate yourself on what's going on, and sit in the classes and do that stuff rather than being a keyboard tough guy.
Right.
And if you have something to say, please, by all means, like bring it to the president. Bring it. They'll happily sit down with you and discuss what's going on, or the vice president. They'll sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with you about that. You know, they have to look at every new rule that NAR's or policy that NAR's coming up with and adjust it to fit to our local area, because just like we say the market isn't the same everywhere, our real estate agents aren't the same as Michigan or New York or Massachusetts. They're completely different.
The new policy that NAR is coming out with is the ability to withhold a listing on the
third party
to the IDX feeds for however many days, and that however many days is up to the local boards.
So
is
when
it
he
a good
says
thing or a bad
IDX
thing?
feed, what he's saying is us as agents can opt to not put our listings on Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin for up to how many days?
It hasn't been determined.
It hasn't been determined. For a set amount of days before the public can actually see it. So we have more value as a real estate agent saying, hey, we know about these properties that are going to come out before the public sees them. So there's some guidelines that the board has to lay out for how long and what that's going to look like. And what does that benefit a seller, or is it hurting them? How does that look for a seller?
That's to be determined. And that's one of those things of our market is changing on a daily basis, right? Will the days on the market go up because of it? Yes. Yes, they will.
Because it's looking like 0 days on the market to a third-party site.
No, so
they're going to continue?
The moment that it's being marketed or advertised off the MLS, the days on the market start then, and they carry over to the time it automatically goes out to the public. Those days on the market are going to go up.
In the beginning, Zillow and other ones said, if you don't allow it to be shared on an IDX feed to our website, we will never put your property for sale. So if I listed Mike's house and I said, I'm going to do a coming soon, or what are they going to call it? I don't know the technical.
Delayed listing.
A delayed listing. And then it was to go to the third party site. Zillow said, well, we're not going to put that on there.
They quickly backed off of that and changed their stance.
They changed their attitude. And we can't let companies like that control us because we are the controlling data. Mm-hmm. It is our proprietary information that they are taking. Mm-hmm. And we cannot let big companies like that control us. So we had to step up and say, I don't think so. That's not how this is going to play.
Right. It's going to affect more for sale by owners if they try to list their stuff on their own, that you can never put it on Zillow. Mm-hmm. That's where it's going to, and I think is where it's going to affect the most.
And we know the number of lawsuits that come up with a for sale by owner.
Yeah. It goes to the value of the realtor. Like, too many people believe that realtors just provide the MLS, and it's so much more than that. What we get as an association, like the tools that we get, the majority of our cohorts don't even know what the association gives us, the tools that we get to put in our and have available to us. They don't even know what those tools can do for us.
How many of the agents that we speak to, that are coming here, don't know what forewarn is?
Yeah.
And that's a safety tool.
Right.
Forewarn is, where you can put in somebody's phone number and make sure that they are who they say they are and that they don't have a criminal record that you're not comfortable with.
Right.
And that's given to us by the Florida Realtors, not just our board, but the Florida Realtors set that up. That's a huge tool. Real reports that we just started using. And those are all tools that our board is giving us.
The direction that we're going in the future, we're going to be front runners of our data. Like, that's where I'm going to go with that.
New blood coming into the board as well. We've gotten bigger and bigger over the years. And so you've gotten new faces at the board and new talents.
On the staff side, and again, I'm not just saying this, but on the staff side, they are some of the most knowledgeable people in the industry and that have been around for a really long time, and they bring us tremendous value. And sometimes they're underappreciated by
some of those people have been there over 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they've made it a lifelong career, and that's what they put their heart and soul into it.
So let's change gears for a second. Like, why should someone move to Fort Myers?
Why should they move to Fort Myers? It's interesting you say that, because
besides it's hot as hell right now.
Right now it is. But two of our current clients are from up north somewhere, and both of them on the same day messaged me and said, how quickly can we get this closing done? Because it is 46 degrees here. It is overcast, and they were getting a nor'easter in May. Not of snow, but of rain, chilly rain. I want to say kudos to our governor, too, for fighting hard for our taxes, because our taxes have been going up. Insurance has been going up. And he is fighting hard to get both of those reduced.
Property taxes
reduced, not removed, but reduced.
Removed.
He was talking about removing. I don't think he's on board for removing anymore. I think he was talking about reducing now. I think he switched his tone.
Whatever he does, yes.
Anything is better than...
Keep trying.
Yeah, because that, plus he's bringing in more carriers for our insurance.
Yep, housing insurance and flood insurance.
Sorry, housing and flood insurance, because that's what we deal with most. But other than that, we have so much to take advantage of. Like, how about our hospital systems, the medical help that we get here? We have all sorts of concert halls, 3 NFL football teams in the state, like 3 in one state. Like it is where things are happening.
We have 2 pro baseball teams that do spring training here, the Twins and the Red Sox.
The Twins and the Red Sox are here. There's not a shortage of anything to do. Yes, it's really, really hot in the summer, but it's really, really cold in the winter out there. But you can go out and do stuff in the summer. You just, you prepare for it. You drink water. You go out in the mornings. Like we take our daughter to the parks early in the morning. We go to splash pads.
It's a quality of life.
You're outside more in Florida than you are up north. There's something to be said for having sunlight on your skin, vitamin D and just being out versus being stuck inside. And we saw that during COVID.
Well, like Jenny and Jamie said, like one of our past guests from Precision, it changes the whole circadian rhythm. Like to be able
That's
to be out.
That's where I was going with that. When
I cut
grounded.
you off. Yeah.
No, you were fine. I didn't want to go into all that, but now that you bring it up, 10 minutes of sunlight on your eyes with no sunglasses, 15 minutes of walking barefoot in the ground, that is bringing you back to your normal rhythm and circadian rhythm, basically, is where you need to start. Because up north, how gray it is in the winter. You feel like you're like almost like ready for bed all day feeling.
Need a nap.
Yeah, you're ready for bed all day. But those are just a few. Why would you move to Florida?
I moved here because I was sick and tired of the snow.
No, but like now, like
why would I move here?
Yeah,
because I'd be sick and tired of the snow.
Knowing what you know now and living here, why would you move here?
It's all of that, right? Like it was the quality of life that I had dealing with the winters. Like as I got older and dealing with the winters, it's miserable, right? Like I don't want to shovel 5 times after one storm because a plow came in and plowed me in 4 more times. I don't want to have to wake up at 2:00 in the morning to be able to shovel out my whole driveway and my elderly neighbors and make sure they're good before I go to work. Like I didn't want to do that.
Or when you come home from work after a shift.
Right. And then you deal with nothing but ice. Like I didn't want to deal with any of that anymore. So for me, it was like, I just needed to get out of there and come down here and thaw out a little bit.
And when you moved down here, it was different with taxes.
Yeah, there's 100,000 people in Cape Coral.
Yeah, and insurance was different. All those things were different. And now we've become a very
But in the grand scheme of things, right? Like I'm glad you said that because I wasn't even going to go there. But in the grand scheme of things, when I moved down here in 2004, right, you look at the salary then that I was making.
And that was almost the peak of our market that you moved here in.
Yeah. And you look at like what housing pricing was. Like I bought my house in 2004 for $205,000. That was high then. But then you look at like what the salary was. It was essentially half of what it is now. And the average real estate home in Cape Coral is right in line with that 400,000. Like it's really 457, but whatever. Like you can find houses that are under $400,000.
Nowadays you can find them.
Same thing with insurance, right? Like all of that stuff has been relative. Like they've kind of, some things are more expensive, some things are less expensive. Like gas prices then were more than they are now. Thanks President Trump.
Donnie T.
For bringing it back down. It's all relative. Like it goes with the times. Is there a perfect time to make the move? No. Is it scary to up and relocate?
100%.
Sure is.
You're taking your entire everything you know and going to an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar people that you don't. Maybe you know a couple people.
Right.
But the rest of it you don't know.
Right.
And roadways you don't know.
But life is short.
Yeah. Are you going to look back 10 years or even 2 years and go, oh, I wish I would have moved 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I could have been 2 years ahead.
Right. How many people are always like, I wish we had done this sooner, or wish they had moved down here and never got the opportunity? We just went morbid.
You went morbid. I didn't.
You brought me there. No, bringing it back. Like, okay, is it a good time to buy here in Lee County? Yes, it is. And it always will be, because you can't put a value on some things that don't have a price tag attached to them.
Yeah. Some people, I know a lot of people dream of, I just want to be where there's palm trees and sun. I'm so sick of the mountains. I'm so sick of the cold. And then you have people from here going, I'm so sick of the heat. I want to get to the mountains. They don't want to shovel snow, but I want to get away. So, well, is the grass greener on the other side? Well, it really is greener here.
Edward, you're in your 20s. Why did you move here?
Yeah, quality of life.
Quality of life. And you moved from Washington State, not D.C., where it's really cold.
And dreary.
But beautiful.
Sunshine.
It was a quality of life for someone, and you've been down here for several years, right? So you were like in your mid-20s when you moved down here.
Yeah, early 20s.
Yeah, so quality of life. I think that's what it comes down to. Does it add value to your life to relocate? And if the answer is yes, pull the damn trigger.
You're always going to be afraid to make a move. It's just you have to prepare and plan.
Weigh
and
the pros
save.
and cons.
But hold on. Let's talk about hometown heroes.
Oh, right.
Let's bring that up, because that's one of the big nuggets that's happening July 1st.
Yep. But people can apply today
Well, they can apply today, but they can also get their houses under contract
and close after
and then
July
close
1st.
after July 1st
Yes.
with these hometown. You don't have to just start looking in July. You start
Right.
looking now, get a house under contract and close in July. Hometown Heroes is up to $35,000 in grant money from the state of Florida. You know, there's a few stipulations that go with it. You do need to be a first-time home buyer or a veteran. A veteran does not need to be a first-time home buyer, but it's open to anybody. It was first responders at first, and now it's completely open to everybody. And is it 5% of the sales
Up
price?
to 5%. Yeah, 5%. Up to
5%
35,000.
up to 35,000
Yep.
of the sales price. There's some income thresholds and things like that, but that is re-upping July 1st.
$100 million open
And it
to
doesn't,
everybody.
it usually only lasts about 30 days.
Yeah,
30 to 40 days.
Last year, like it was empty. It was like everything was gone by September 1st. So July and August,
Yeah.
like it goes fast.
So what would happen was it was really depleted in the beginning of August, and then people fell out of contract, and
Yeah.
the allocated money went back into the fund, and really it was gone by September 1st.
Which is a good job by Governor DeSantis of approving the bill for the third year in a row to allocate $100 million to encourage people. So you have to have a full-time job, and it has to be a Florida-based company.
But let's bring it back to like why this all happened. Part of our local board was there at legislation trying to get this approved.
Yeah, that was RPAC.
Yeah. RPAC was doing this to help out our real estate industry. And that's what your dues go to as part of that RPAC. It's a voluntary fee.
I was talking the other day to new agents that were going through orientation, and I equated RPAC to being the big brother where you get into a schoolyard fight and you're like, I'm going to go get my big brother, come fight you. All right, I'm going to get RPAC, right? Like we're going to take you on. And that's what they do for us. They take on the fight for homeowners, for private property rights, and for the realtors to be able to have the tools and perform. So I'm going to get my big brother after you.
My big brother, Mike.
Thanks for tuning into episode 8. You want more information on the real estate market? Reach out to us. We'll give you a play-by-play of every respective city, neighborhood, whatever you want. Thanks for tuning in.